with the news. It broke my heart when it didn't happen. Now that it is, back on the bandwagon, baby. Bobby Petrino down to College Station. Lasted about 3 weeks there in Las Vegas. It doesn't take long to go bust in Vegas, and apparently Barry Odom found that out pretty quickly because he hired Bobby Petrino away from Missouri State. Now Bobby Petrino back on the radar for Texas A&M, and I think this is great. The jokes are going to come easy. We're already seeing it. Bobby Petrino in the neck brace and all, the motorcycle. Hell, I've even done it myself. But, hey, on the face of this, I think this is brilliant. Yes, Jimbo is essentially putting the fate of his tenure in College Station in Bobby Petrino's hands, but, man, Bobby, he's a wild card. He's the ultimate wild card. But the thing you can't say about him is when he's motivated, when he's engaged, he's one of the best out there. We got a good look at that this season when Missouri State went into Fayetteville, went toe-to-toe with Arkansas for much of that football game, scored 27 on Arkansas. I know Arkansas didn't have a great defense, but this is an FCS team. You got to remember that. I don't think they could have done a better job than hiring Bobby Petrino. Laid it out before. I'll lay it out again. But first, let's look at what Bobby Petrino did at Missouri State for those that think that maybe he's just over the hill. And Jimbo, I've seen this. Jimbo's hired another outdated offensive guy. Well, his first season at Missouri State went 5-1 in the conference. Shared I don't even know what the conference is, but they did share a title of it. He was named Conference Coach of the Year. That was his first year. Second year, 8-4 overall, 6-2 in conference play. And then this year, the wheels kind of fell off, 5-6 overall, 3-5 in conference play. But again, so a losing team at the FCS rank went into Fayetteville, scored 27, some terrific play calls by Bobby Petrino. He still has it, clearly. Missouri State did finish 25th in the FCS in scoring, red zone scoring, 72nd in third down conversion. So maybe you get an indication why Bobby Petrino was wanted out of there. It was not overall going well, but it was trending downward, I think it's fair to say. So you could call him out for that, but Bobby Petrino wears thin on people quick. If he lasts 2, 3, 4 seasons at A&M, the same thing will happen. But this is not a move I don't think Jimbo is making for the long haul. He's making it for now. He needs a spark. Again, incredible play caller. Take some of those responsibilities off of Jimbo during the game. We've all seen the photos. See him on the sideline with his Cheesecake Factory menu over there looking through it. It's an awful look. And it's an even worse look when your offense is as pathetic as Texas A&M had a top 100 offense efficiency. This move had to be made. Getting in a credible play caller, someone that has been a head coach in the SEC, head coach in the ACC. Hell, he's been a coach in the NFL. Didn't last long, but he has been there. That's Bobby Petrino. He is not going to be intimidated by Jimbo Fisher. I don't care what Jimbo Fisher's getting paid there. Bobby Petrino will walk his ass out the door if Jimbo yanks the play calling duties from him, because we've seen Bobby Petrino walk out the door before. And people look at that as a negative. I look at that, again, as a positive, because he's not going to take any of Jimbo's crap. He still works for the guy, but they're going to have to work together to make this work in College Station. Won't be a pushover, and clearly this says to me that he's motivated to, go out a winner, maybe get back to major college football as a head coach. His path to get there was not at Missouri State. His path, and it wasn't at UNLV either. His path is at Texas A&M. So this is an accomplished coach that's got a lot to prove, taking over the offense there in College Station, and the entertainment factor is going to be off the chain. Whether this works, if it does, A&M's going to be an SEC college football contender as soon as next season, legitimately. If it doesn't work, it's going to be a spectacular failure, and Texas A&M will get them a new coach. That's, again, I think it's that big of a deal. So one way or another, we're going to have success or we're going to have a new coach at A&M. if this blows up. But I don't think it will. And another thing you could say about the issues plaguing A&M, I know that they get very sensitive when we call out their lack of production at the quarterback position. I never thought Kellen Mond got better. From his sophomore season to the senior season, he was essentially the same guy. Statistically, a little bit better as a senior. Well, also, they had an elite offensive line. They were running people over. He could have been a Heisman winner based on what I saw his sophomore year. Just never took that big step. Well, that's also what you're potentially getting in Bobby Petrino. We all know he's coached Lamar Jackson to a Heisman, and now he's one of the best NFL quarterbacks. Some of the other quarterbacks he's coached, Ryan Mallett, of course, Tyler Wilson, who made it to the NFL, and he had a hell of a season there at Arkansas. He also recruited Brandon Allen, who, again, I know he didn't really coach him to much success at Arkansas. That came later. But Brandon Allen, I think he's still in the NFL. He was in the NFL for a number of years if he's not still there. So that has got to excite me if I'm an A&M fan. This guy knows how to develop quarterbacks. And, again, kind of the same thing I just said with Jimbo. Taking away a lot of these other responsibilities, recruiting, managing the roster. Bobby Petrino is not going to have to do any of that. He's going to have to execute the game plan, get his quarterback, Connor Wigman, playing the best football of his career. I think is a grand slam. I really do. The only negative, his character. We could spend the rest of the show talking about that. And I think taking the UNLV job, that lasted, again, just a couple of weeks. That says something about the guy as well. Not that I fault the guy for leaving UNLV for Texas A&M. 100 out of 100 coaches are going to make that move. But the timing of it is interesting, to say the least. And the final thing that I've kind of got on this may have been a little bit of a reality check for A&M and Jimbo Fisher. Because all I heard was they're going to get Garrett Riley. They're going to get some hot shit. They're going to get the best. They could throw whatever money they want out there. They can get whoever they want. And there was probably a time that was true. But the fact that you hired Bobby Petrino, I just said all those great things about him. It also says to me that this job was probably not as attractive as Jimbo Fisher hoped it would be. And again, that's not to discredit Bobby Petrino, because I think he's an excellent coach. But to get a young, rising coordinator, I think working with Jimbo is not something that is maybe attractive to some of the big names, like a Alex Golish, who I know took over at South Florida, or there's a number of guys that were floated out there. Baylor's offensive coordinator Jeff Grimes, I know that Baylor was not outstanding this season, but I believe they won the Big 12, and I know they went to the Sugar Bowl the year prior. Jeff Grimes probably going to be a head coach before long. Texas A&M a hell of a lot better job than Baylor. I don't know if there was a bunch of interest there or not. The Washington offensive coordinator was apparently someone they were kind of interested in, and he had a hell of a year there at Washington. Couldn't get that guy. So, I don't know. I do not know if working for Jimbo, with Jimbo's background being an offensive coordinator, being a kind of stuck in his ways, so to speak, on the offensive side of the ball, I wonder how willing he was going to be to, right now in January, he can say he's given up the offensive play calling. What happens week 2, week 3, week 4, if the offense is not where he thinks it should be? He's going to grab that thing right back. And Bobby Petrino is about the only one he probably can't grab that back from. So it's interesting. And that, again, that's just me speculating. But the fact that they could have had Petrino a couple weeks ago, I don't know what happened. Now he goes to UNLV. Now he comes back. They're circling back to a guy that was obviously on their list. But again, they could have had him at the time. Could have had him before the early signing period. Didn't happen, but it's happening now. And I think it's a great move. And if it's not, it's going to be entertaining as hell. So we win either way.